Good evening and welcome to All for United. One of those days again where you feel like you probably should have had the 3 points and then you don't end up with the 3 points. It's rather frustrating, but we are here to get into it. We're going to look at all of the talking points that have been thrown up by that slightly depressing result of Brighton 2, Manchester United 1. But before we get into that, let's at least say hello to our little Saturday night panel that we have got around the table today. And just below us, it is, of course, TikTok legend, Mr. Beanie. How are you doing, sir?
All good. Glad to be back on the show. I just wish it was for a win. You know, it always ruins your Saturday, doesn't it, when you lose the early kickoff? But, you know, we go again, I suppose, as I say.
Well, yeah, time will wait for no man. That's absolutely sure. And then, of course, just over the other side in the corner is the one and the only Mr. Andrew Wall. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all good too. Just getting over the disappointment of earlier. United have ruined the weekend early, but as I say, we'll get over it.
Absolutely. And just over there, not even bothering to look at you all, is Dan. How are you doing, sir?
I'm feeling rather prickly today after some of the reaction to that loss, to be honest. A bit touchy. Yeah. Feel like if you poke the bear, he's gonna be a bit too angry. I'm not pleased with what I've seen in the reaction. Let's put it that way.
Well, I think you and I might be on a very similar sort of plane with that one. Let's have a quick look at what's going on in the chat boxes here. Hello. He says depressing. Yes, it is, but don't worry, you've got us now, and we'll do our very best to lighten the mood. The gaffer's popped in with that's definitely a Barry title, as if I haven't named every single show for the last 18 months. Like this man is just hiding behind a rock. But Zirkz-knee, I thought that was good. That was good. Hit his knee, cost us the win. Like, you know, it's all about, isn't it? NT's here. Lovely to see you, sir, as well. And of course, Tolumba has arrived as well with some unusually positive words. It's only the second game, and he's not wrong. It's not wrong at all. And we've got somebody else new here as well, Ivy. First time watching? Well, hopefully not the last. Lovely to have you here. Oh, where to begin? Where to begin? Shall we begin with he started the same side, Beanie. Now, I'm not against that. I think, you know, the side goes out there. It was by no means a 5-star performance against Fulham, but it was a good result. It was a win, and it was a clean sheet, and it was, you know, not bad. Something to build on, as we said. It's the right thing, surely. I mean, I'm saying this, I can't actually, I've started with you on this question after the group chat message that you sent me, but surely if you've got a team that's done well and they've won the last game, in an ideal world, especially at this point of the season, they've not had much to play, it makes sense to name the same side, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. If you're playing well, then you should be starting, really. Like Maguire, for me, I'd have started Maguire because he did play well against Fulham. He did play well in the Charity Shield, and De Ligt should have to earn that place. And if Maguire's the one holding that spot at the minute, then he starts. The only one for me was the false 9 thing. But away at Brighton, it's a difficult place to go. They like to play out from the back. They like to sort of fizz it about. So it makes sense to play that way. I just thought it left us a little bit blunt in the attack, playing the false 9 today. Although there was some positive signs, I thought we were getting the ball back well. I thought we were stopping them getting through us very easily. So there was some positive signs, and I wasn't that surprised that he named the same team. I'd be surprised what he'd do against Liverpool, but I'm sure we'll get onto that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll touch on Liverpool. But Andrew, for you, a similar sort of feeling? I mean, I wasn't surprised overly that he'd named the same side. You're looking at how the defence was against Fulham. To me, perfectly reasonable and valid that you'd have put that same defence out, give them a chance to get a bit of time together, a bit of familiarity, I suppose, amongst the back line, which is a luxury that we've not been afforded over the course of the last 12 months. But I think it's the right decision, isn't it? for everything that's going to happen, and I know there's going to be loads of conversations, particularly like this that NT said, the reaction by some fans was equal measures of baffling and unsurprising. But if we're going to be absolutely real, that is what all of us would do if we were playing Football Manager, surely.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. He didn't change. Maybe he made one or two changes for the bench, but he can completely, from starting 11 to the bench, it was all the same. And he continued with like the 4-2-4 system, which he first deployed at the end of the last season and the FA Cup final. So it does leave us without that traditional centre forward. So Fernandes and Mount are being double false nines. So in some ways, the system it's improved us when we're out of possession, but just like we kind of still need that. We just kind of struggled in the attack during the game at times, and just it's maybe the system needs a little bit of tweaking so we can be effective on the attack. And there was some moments in the game where we thought we were going to score here, but we're just not putting the ball away in the back of the net. And we can know the defence what they were like today, and like I've seen the reactions online as well about Maguire, and maybe De Ligt should have started, or others arguing Maguire should have started. So it just I think it was the right side to go with. And Ten Hag said like last week, said when like all teams, we're not all going 100% into the season. There's things we've got to work on, and as he said, improve as well. So it's a work in progress at the moment, but it's just disappointing the way that the game ended for us all.
I can't disagree with that. Can't disagree with that at all. And Dan, for you, we spent a lot of time last season talking about the lineup and saying how, people need to change, not just stick with the same group. That was very much your modus operandi during the course of last season. But again, as I said at the start of the season, it's a reasonable thing to do. And in terms of the formation as well, I know you've been a fan of playing the way we did, sort of the 4-2-2-2 for this game especially, because we were at the preview. We knew this was going to be an incredibly tight match and that we needed to be very careful because, in the end, they did it to us anyway, but we know they're capable of nicking wins against us.
Yeah, Brighton, for me, they seem to have our number at the minute, especially Ten Hag's number at the minute. I totally agree with the 4-2-2-2 for this game. Honestly, just to quickly look to the future, I think you'll do exactly the same against Liverpool because it's that high press, high energy thing you need against teams like that can move the ball. The issue really going forward is outside of the 4-2-2-2, we didn't look as good as when we was in the 4-2-2-2, and it doesn't look like he's able to make them changes in formation again. It looks like very much you can trust that formation, but once you move away from that, we start to struggle a little bit. So I wasn't shocked. We said in the preview it'd be a really, really tough game. It was going to be a game of a small swing would win it for you, and I think that's what's ended up happening. I'll be honest, I've seen a lot of reaction to Brighton's performance, and I didn't think they were that good. They're being lauded as if they played us off the pitch, and I thought we was much the better team today for the large parts of the game. We just, in essence, gifted them 2 goals. So I'm not shocked by what we've seen. I'm not going to tar Ten Hag with the brush of we're going to see this for the next 36 weeks, because I don't think we will. I do think there will be changes to formation and personnel over the next weeks and months. So hopefully it's not. But I don't think you can argue too much with what he put out today. I basically would have picked exactly the same team, to be honest.
I had very much. The biggest question seems to be whether or not anyone would come in the front 3. There are people that obviously advocated for Garnacho to start. But as NT did say here, we know he is very, very effective off the bench. He proved it again today. Very effective off the bench. And unlucky, really, not to have given us the lead. What else we got here? Mad saying we don't look as clueless in defence as we did last season, and we're not as open in midfield, but that winning goal was shocking. I agree with you. I'm going to keep that because that's very much going to be my next port of call, I think. But let's have a look at what else is going on here. I'm going to try and, so I hope I say this right. Daquan has said, I am concerned that we lose confidence massively from today's result and we drop off completely and lose a couple, do you know what? In a way, having Liverpool next is good because, you know, you can't go up for Liverpool, which you might as well leave because there's absolutely nothing that we can do for you in terms of motivation there. They weren't done. It's just people hate watching United and rubbing their hands, waiting for us to lose or play badly. Also true. Ivy saying Ten Hag needs to figure out how to control a game without four midfielders on the pitch. Well, this is it. And certainly this is one of the things that we were talking about with our little group chat. Beanie, we spoke a lot about it as well, that if Zirkz-knee was to come on, we lose that sort of press. And I completely agree, actually, with what's been said here. So we're going to hold Mads's comment up for this one, just purely because I was pleased overall with the performance. At halftime, I wasn't panicking. I wasn't worried. I was quite content. I thought all was reasonably well. And I did think we were definitely in with a good shout of getting back into it. Now, the thing is we haven't looked as clueless in defence, but those 2 goals are not good adverts for having that opinion, if we're being brutally honest. Now, we're not as open in midfield. I agree with that as well. The press that the likes of Mount, Fernandes and Rashford and Ahmad as well have really done, I think, has been superb. And you saw it again in this game. The high press was winning the ball back. We had moments where you put them under serious pressure. And it was a bit, for me, a bit like watching United last season and how we got into trouble when people were pressing us in our defence. And actually, it was the other way around because I looked at our defence. Oh, my God, we were passing the ball out of defence like we were Barca. It was brilliant. Mainu, Casemiro moving back, showing for the ball, saying, go on, then give it to me, not a problem. Nice little intricate triangles. And of course, the superb effort that led to the goal was exactly the same thing, being played out of defence in the way that it was, all the way down to the other end we had. And there was a brilliant one with Ahmad. He put a superb cross in, but it just didn't quite get to where we need it to. So I was quite content with this, but I am going to go straight into it because it really wound me up today. And I know that Dan has sort of felt this as well. Because when you look at the first goal, people blamed. I mean, my Twitter timeline, I've kind of tried to ignore Twitter today as much as I possibly could because it just winds me up. And when I get wound up, it's not helpful. Now, what didn't help is that I had 2 different group chats going off and both of them were annoying me as well. So, Beanie, fight time, mate. Get your gloves on. The world seems to have had a go at Harry Maguire. Now, can I just preface everything by saying he does make a mistake. In the grand scheme of what you're choosing to do, where he is in defence, he knows he should have done better. You see him afterwards saying, I couldn't get the ball. And I agree with him. He couldn't because of how he'd chosen to move. The thing is, every single Ian Wright, Alan Shearer, Gary Neville, everybody has watched this time and again, slowed down, sped up, doing whatever it is they need to do. And Rio Ferdinand in particular quite wound me up just to say he should have hooked it. Because the problem you've got, and it is a problem, is that everybody's saying he needs to hook it, needs to look at where he was. Should he have done that? Yes. But could he? Not with where he was. When the ball came in, he was stood on his left leg. He wasn't getting that ball away. And when he does finally get to a point where he can stretch his foot out, if he did, it's probably going to be an own goal. Now, my issue is this. Dalot should have come out for the cross. He should have stopped it before it even got there. There is a massive gap between the ball being crossed in and Dalot allowing that to happen. Shouldn't happen in the first place. I'm tired of saying this. This is basics. Get close to your man, make it difficult for them. Don't allow them to just whip it around you. That's schoolboy stuff. Yes, Maguire could have got to it, but you know what? So could Mazraoui. And even if you don't allow for the fact that he could have got a foot to it then as well, you've then got to accept the fact that the ball goes out to the far post. He's closing it down. Could have stopped it as well. Doesn't. And then when the ball comes in, Martinez is looking at Welbeck and going, oh, he doesn't play for us anymore. Oh, it's a goal. Instead of thinking, I should probably get forward here because this guy's on his own. This is where the ball's going to go. If it goes over and above, there's not a lot he can do. But at least he's tried to see the danger. Doesn't do it. Just watches it go in. And everybody has a go at Harry Maguire. I knew it was coming. So once I sent the texts and tweets out, I had a little look, and there it was. Harry Maguire, that's the final nail in the coffin. It's horrendous. So, now that I've got that off my chest, Beanie, what did you make of it?
Like I said in the group chat, I thought Maguire's positioning was poor, and I thought he could have dealt with it when it came in. But then, as soon as it gets to Matoma, then there's a few players that are poor. Like Mazraoui should be stopping that then. Even with the second goal, though, Martinez and Dallo were doing exactly the same. The positioning was all over the shop with both goals. So, I mean, for people to solely sort of scapegoat Maguire, I think that just says more about the fan base, really, than Maguire himself. Yeah, but for me, he could have stopped the initial ball going in, and that's my only issue with that goal. I wouldn't blame him for that goal, because too much happened after that. Too much happened after that for people to say, well, that's Maguire's fault. It was an absolute shit show, really, after that, positionally, from a few players. But yeah, I mean, it could have. I thought Maguire was very good today, to be fair. I'd have kept him on later on in the game when Brighton were attacking us. He's a very good set piece defender. When they were putting pressure on us, I'd have liked Maguire in there over De Ligt. But I think the fan base are just very quick at scapegoating. I saw a lot of people blaming Onana as well. I didn't even see him do anything in the game, to be honest. He couldn't have done anything with either of the goals. But yeah, like I said to you in the group chat, in my opinion, he could have positionally have been better when that ball first came in to hook it out. But then when he doesn't get there, and when he can't do that, there's too much happens after that for that to be Maguire's fault for me. So it wasn't Maguire's fault. He could have just stopped it going in.
NT saying Maguire and Martinez are both at fault. It wasn't just them, as I said. Mark the front post, centre of the goal, then the back post, and no one had the centre of the goal covered. And this is it. Nobody seemed to have it. And it's just frustrating. And you're right, absolutely mad. He was getting a fair bit of stick on field too. Because, yes, when you watch it just on its own, it does look as if the ball, it lands, he's the nearest to it, and he's the most likely to have had a chance to have tried to get something on it. But again, it's all happening really quick, and these are split-second decisions. And I keep on going backwards and forwards with this, because there's part of me that's like, as a human being, he's not going to get everything right all the time. Equally, there's parts of you that go, but then he is getting paid more money than I will probably ever see in my lifetime over the course of one contract. So there's an element of, we expect, if you're going to get that amount of money, for it to be a little bit better. Andrew, where did you see it all? Because it was just utterly, utterly predictable what was going to happen online. And I just want us all, like, if we score a goal, it's together. If we concede a goal, it's together. I hate the fact we are only the second game in, and already we've got people having a go at particular players. And he was a hero last week, and he was more of a hero the more the game went on in this one. I would argue again, probably the best defender over the last 2 weeks. Yet he's the one taking the flak. Yeah,
I was just going to say, when United lose, it's all being made out to be a crisis. Things are, everything's falling down. But, before Brighton actually scored in that first half, you could say the first half largely belonged to us, but we just had no end products at the end of it. So, and we were limiting Brighton in their chances at goal, but the chance they did get in the first half, they took it. When the ball was played forward, you could either neither Maguire or Onana dealt with it, but then the danger wasn't quite cleared away, and then until the ball was played into Welbeck and he was left unmarked, and he had the easiest goal to score against, his former club. So, yes, blame could easily be placed on Maguire, because that's a popular move to make, but it was a total breakdown of the defence. Casemiro was offering no cover as Martinez. He was left marking two of the opposition players, and Dallo was absent as well. So just like I said, it just totally broke down. It's very poor defending. I think somebody put it out there. It's a bit like year 6 defending. It's like in school, you make these. It's a bit like that season. The goals we were conceding are sloppy goals, and just like. I know we're going to go on to talk about the second one we conceded. Just like we've got to start learning to needs to be more aggressive and getting these balls away. Should have been dealt with and hooked away, but just we ultimately paid the price for the one mistake in the first half and the second as well. So it's just, I don't know whether that defence just needs the consistent run of games and they all gel, and then these mistakes hopefully shouldn't happen. But it's a game of fine margin, so just I don't know whether like next week he'll keep the same defensive line, or some would argue, as I said it earlier, I think backstage saying delete whether he would come in or not. It's just people are making the case for Iron, but Maguire, I just think he's warranted enough to be in the starting 11. So from what he did last season, it's just like he's fighting for his place. He's giving everything for United. So, but as I said, it's not solely on him. It's the whole team. As I say, we win together, we lose together. So, and Ten would say saying that when he's getting him and analysing the games, like this is where we're going to do better, and we're going to have to improve on it.
Yeah, no, again, I find it hard to disagree too much there. Dan, from your point of view, I know that you were very much Team Barry on the group chat today, because it was just, like I say, utterly predictable. But there is something to be said for the fact that defence with that could have gone better. I mean, NT saying Martinez was at the back post, which he was. He should have gone closer to Maguire, Welbeck. And Maguire should have been closer to Onana, maybe so. But he was the only one that I saw out of all four that tried to stick a foot out and actually do something on both occasions, really. And he knows his body. He knows whether or not he can reach that ball and clear it. The reaction, the only way this could have been worse was if he'd have put it into his own net. Because, again, the world would have just ended at that point, really, wouldn't it? So, where do you stand with this defence? Because last week, we weren't questioning it. We were sat there looking at this defence going, do you know what? It's looking pretty good. That was quite solid. It wasn't as solid today. Why do you think that was?
This is a frustrating one for me because Harry Maguire has been the best defender for the Man City game. He's the best defender in the Fulham game, and he's the best defender on the pitch today. So while ultimately what's happened is he's got his body in the wrong position when the ball came in because it was a good cross. So, and he knows if I swing for this, I'm not in control, and I probably or possibly could put it in my net. And he was talking about this on the TikTok show on Wednesday, I think it was, about different reactions for different players. Now, if Maguire swings at that and puts it in his own net, he's called an idiot for swinging for it. He should have left it. His body was in the wrong position. But ultimately, by him leaving that ball, does it cost us a goal? No, it doesn't. Because there's still two more phases of play in which you could stop that goal happening because he's made the decision, I'm not in the right shape to be clearing this ball. I'm going to leave it. And then if you actually watch it as it comes back in, Mazraoui reacts slow, so he isn't out fast enough. Maguire reacts the quickest of anybody after the mistake. And then because he's reacted too quickly to get to his man, he's then caught short. So if he didn't react, he would have been in the perfect place to stop the ball. But it's because he's gone to that spear man. The frustrating thing for me is Martinez, since he came back into the team, has been awful. He's been absolutely awful. He's been caught out of position God knows how many times, and it happened quite a few times today. He got turned and left on the halfway line. He's been out of position for 3 goals since he came back in, and no one's batting an eyelid, and they shouldn't because it's not just him. It's a unit. So where one player's made a mistake, 3 or 4 more have then made mistakes following it up. And again, we'll talk about the second goal later. I've seen people trying to blame Casemiro for the second goal, which I understand to a point, but for it to be so bad, it's not one player. It's a group of players all making mistakes at the same time. I just feel sorry for Maguire for the simple fact that he's the easy target. And I'm just getting really, really bored of Maguire taking the flak when he's been the best defender on the pitch. So there's a reoccurring theme happening with Maguire now that I'm starting to notice. He gets taken off and we concede in the 90th minute. And that's 3 times that's happened now. He came off in the 60-something minute against Man City. We conceded in the 90th. Came off today for De Ligt when he shouldn't have come off. Should have stayed on. Like, bring De Ligt on by all means, but go to a back three. Like, you know, you're going to be defending free kicks. And I can't remember, there's another game at the end of last season where we was took off about 72nd minute and we conceded in the 85th. And it's just a recurring theme that when Maguire gets taken off towards the end of a game, we get done at a set piece. We get done at a free kick. And we've got to stop doing it. Like, I'm at the point now, start De Ligt and bring Maguire on if you're going to do that, to defend the crosses, the long balls, whatever. But Maguire can't be comfortable knowing that De Ligt's going to be coming on 60th, 70th minute, because that's the rotation they're going to make. I'll be honest, I've had to block a certain someone because I'm really fed up of it now. It's just such shitty content. Oh, let's quickly blame Maguire. When errors of this nature are happening, it's not just one player. It's not just two players. It's normally 3 or 4 that have made a mistake for it to be that open. So we're talking about Dalot and Martinez not following the man from the Mazraoui not closing the ball down. Where was Casemiro? Where was Kobe Mainu? And I get Mainu's a young lad and we don't want to blame him, but they all should be in that box defending, because if one person makes a mistake, you have to cover for your friend. That's the whole point. So if you mess up, your teammate's there to back you up, to stop the goal going in, etc. I just find it baffling that he keeps getting the blame for absolutely everything. It's really stupid, to be honest.
It's frustrating. And Connor coming in with Dan blocked you. Yeah, to be honest, you're lucky I haven't blocked you, to be honest with you. Man, silly arguments we had with you today. It's not harsh. He deserves it. He really does. And he is right. Absolutely. He is right. Dan is right. Of course he's right. And this is it. Our favourite channel have Ten Hag under pressure in their live video. Who's putting the pressure on him? And this is it. He's not. Look, I was going to get to the substitutions later. Just going to very quickly NT. Yes, you are right. Pretty much. You're fairly spot on there. Obviously, there was the FA Cup game that went to penalties. We discussed that one in our preview. But yes, this is it. That's the whole point. Brighton are a much tougher side for us over the course of recent history than many others. He's been all right. Not as good as Maguire. He'll be second. That's what I've been getting at. So there we go. But this, again, Mads with a great point. Maguire must know he's just keeping De Ligt's place warm when he's match fit after being dragged off twice. It's not often centre-backs are taken off like that. And I think I put this in the group chat with Connor. This is the bit that confuses me. Like, you're used to having late substitutions in midfield. You're used to having latest substitutions up front. Defence feels like a really weird thing. It's like when you're playing Jenga. You know, you've got to sit there and look at it and go, which bits can I actually knock out? And that, taking it out from the foundations, where it's already potentially a bit wobbly, not a clever idea. The Jenga tower is going to fall down. And I think that's kind of what we did today. We're faffing around with doing this. And what I don't get is how they think 10, 15 minutes is going to help even a world-class defender to settle in. It doesn't. He needs more time. So if you're going to make that substitution on like 60 minutes. Give him a chance to get into the game. Instead, you're bringing him on cold. Yes, he's been playing in training, but he's not been playing matches. So as a result, he's not getting used to everything as well as he would like to. It's all right to bring him on with 10 minutes to go if we are 2, 3, 4, 5 up. Go for it. Feel your boots, lad. But that does feel like a really weird thing to drag a defender off, especially when, and this is the bit that's frustrating, Andy, especially when he's been the better defender. Like, if you're Maguire, and again, I'll point it out for Maguire, look at how he just walks off. He doesn't moan. He doesn't have a go. He doesn't groan. He's not having a go at Ten Hag and shouting at him and saying this is outrageous. Nobody's moaning that they've been taken off when he's got every right to be sat there like, hold on, really? Like, all these people beside me? It's a bit strange, isn't it, Beanie, that we're making those last second. I mean, he had, I think, 15 minutes overall to play. It's a bit strange.
Yeah, I thought it for quite a while with Ten Hag, to be honest. His substitutions almost seem predetermined, almost like he knows at one point he's going to take Maguire off for De Ligt. He knows at one point he's going to take Rashford off for Garnacho. His substitutions are so obvious. And I was having a text conversation with Palomani. He was like, "When do you think Zirkz is going to come on?" I was like, "Whenever he wants to bring Mount off, because that's just what he'll do. It's like with Mount, he'll hold the game for so long with the press, and then he'll bring Zirkz on because he'll decide he wants to have a little bit of a go now. We'll get to 70 minutes. He'll bring Maguire off, and like you say, it don't really make much sense half of the time. As Dan said, like at that point of the game, Brighton are on us. It's like, what are you taking Maguire off for? Take Ahmad off or whoever was on the flank at the time to shore it up a little bit. I think it's stuff like that that will have Ten Hag under pressure. I mean, I by no means saying Ten Hag out, Ten Hag under pressure, but I think his decision making and substitutions were very similar last season. He seems to affect the game really poorly sometimes with substitutions. We can all see it. Taking Maguire off was a bad sub because we could see what the game was doing. We could see where the game was going. And it just makes no sense. But like I say, it feels very much predetermined to me. It's like we're going to give Delict 20 minutes and it's going to be just a like for like. Yeah, I find it very frustrating to watch his subs.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like I say, I don't mind how he wants to do his subs. If he's sitting there thinking we're just going to dig in for 60 minutes and then try and have a go, I don't have a problem with having that because that's a plan. And yes, you might have to react to that plan and change the plan if things happen. But, Andrew, again, what is 15 minutes gaining Delict? It's not like he's come back from a horrific injury and he just needs inching back in and getting a little bit of time. There's a time and a place for everything. It wasn't really the time and the place, was it? If you want Delict to play him and trust him. And then when he's tired, bring him off. If that's what you need to do. It's a bad idea, is it not, to take someone who you're saying isn't match sharp and then say, do you know what? We'll accept the fact that you're not sharp just yet. Don't worry about it too much, though, because we'll bring you on and you can just get used to it. Cold. It makes no sense, does it?
Yeah, it's definitely strange substitutions from Ten Hag, and he did that a few times last season. I remember some games, I think, was it one game last season? He took, I think it was against Brighton as well, he took Højlund off, and we all just was like, why are you taking the player that can get us a goal? So it was just like, Ten Hag just gone and done it again. You just look at Maguire, like, overall, he played well. You know, just if you look at his stats from the games, he was at 40 out of 44 passes. And defensively made 3 clearances, won 2 duels, and made 2 interceptions. Just the one mistake he made, well, as part of the whole defense, led to the goals. So, and could that, the mistake by the whole defense, and with Delict coming on, could he now find himself at the starting 11 next week? Who knows? But you just looking at the whole game overall, there was other players, had probably more of a tougher day at the office. I think for the likes of Marcus Rashford, but I just think, substitutions wise, it just all very strange, and not just the Maguire one, but also Fernandes, coming off as well. It was just when he came off, it was like, you're taking me off. I'm like, yeah, just like, I'm not saying that lost us the game, because it was we was having the momentum. We thought we'd scored, we didn't. Just like, if we had, then those substitutions would have been, all right in the end. But just, it was just don't sometimes get what Ten Hag's trying to do with his substitutions. We knew we could. I thought we could get something out of this game, and I thought when he brought those players on, I thought, well, he must be seeing something that I'm not seeing. So he obviously thinks we can go out and get a win in this game, but it wasn't to be. So it's got to.
But it's not helpful, like you said, to have taken Bruno with Mount coming off, and I know that Dan's started this. So I'm sure he's going to jump in on it in a second. But Mount's already come off. Creativity-wise, you're taking off Bruno Fernandes, and everyone on this channel knows how much I love and adore Scott McTominay. But Scott McTominay for Bruno Fernandes is not a substitution that should be happening in any version of a football game, surely.
Yeah, I'm set with Bruno. You could see him smiling, like, my numbers come on. I'm just like, I'm trying to think, has he ever taken him off in the game like that before? And I'm like, I don't think I can recall him doing that. I'm just like, say in that first half, when Bruno was pressing, Mount was pressing, but when you lost one of them, you just, like last season, Bruno, he goes to press and then he's looking around at everybody else. You've got to get with me as well. I'm just like, with Mount there as well, it helps him out as well. And they all seem to push up together, including the rest of the team. But you take that one element out and United are slightly less effective. And I'm just like with Bruno going off, you've just taken one of our creative sources away. I'm just thinking he could have, I know he can be frustrating sometimes in what he does, but he might unlock that one pass or that cross or even a shot at goal, and he could have scored the winning goal. But yeah, just that was weird for me. I'm just like, at the time, but I was like, I'll go with it and see what happens.
It was a bit. Go on, Dan. What did you want to say about the Mount thing?
I was just going to say, I did actually watch the interview afterwards, and he did sort of stutter into saying that Mount was injured, and it didn't feel overly natural, as if it was planned he was going to say it. So it did feel like he sort of blurted it out, and he maybe is not injured, and he was sort of correcting himself by not saying that he's took him off at half time, if that makes sense.
But his English hasn't been superb, has it?
No.
There's every chance he's also sitting there and going tactical or forced. He might well have just been stuttering over.
We'll find out in the next few days if Mount's actually injured or not. But I think maybe he sort of fell into, I'll say he's injured because I don't want to say I've took him off at half time.
But he didn't actually say it was injury, did he? What he said was he felt something. We know about Mason and his history, so I didn't want to risk it. And, listen, he was absolutely battered all through last season for allowing players to get injured. So equally, we can't have a go if he's bringing people up to try and safeguard them so they're not injured for months. So there is a bit of that. Was Andrew at the game today? The answer to that is no. What were the away fans saying? Well, we've literally spent the last 25 minutes talking about it. It's all about, depends, do you mean like the real away fans or just...
He means the away fans that are there. Yeah.
Of course, I know what you mean. Just playing games with people. Daz is here, and he says, I've seen a lot of fans looking for an scapegoat. Can we just say we lost the game? Yeah. No team was better or worse, just separated by a bit of luck. I mean, again, lots of it could have been a draw. A plant ear infection could have been.
So maybe laugh.
Absolutely could have been. And Bebe's back. Whee! Go on, Bebe. Love it. It says Ahmad and Zirkz-knee is better today. Mistake is Ten Hag's. I think you mean, is that Ahmad? I think you're trying to say they're not AMD. But yeah, that's fine. And listen, we conceded. We nearly had goal of the season seconds afterwards, because I have never in the history of the world seen a man fall over and backheel the ball over a goalkeeper in my life. And I just wish that goal had stood, because genuinely, that's bloody hilarious, wouldn't it be?
I had to look at it a few times to see how he'd actually got it in the net. It must have took me two or three looks at the replay. But yeah, that would have been some goal that, just offside there, sadly.
No, it was honestly, I've never seen a goal like that. And it was the way he then wheeled away as if he'd done that entirely on purpose to backheel the ball over the top. But God bless him. So they say that, don't they, Dan, that sometimes you do just need one to go in off the backside, usually, just to get you started. And that could well have been his moment had it not been offside.
It reminded me of Chicharito when he kicked the ball in his own face. It's a little bit like that when he just went in. Like, I'm sat there, he cocked that up and then he's just in. But to be fair, I thought we ran offside a bit too much today, or the pass didn't come quick enough today. That was a definite issue for Rashford and Garnacho.
No, I concur. A couple of people saying, to be honest, the Mount sub wasn't the biggest issue. Biggest one, but it was an issue. Mount did well in the press. He did. Zirkz-knee, and again, I agree. Zirkz-knee for Mount was an entirely reasonable substitution. Sorry, Daz, but Tomine for Bruno, I'm never going to accept it. Not in a million, trillion, squillion, gazillion, billion years. I'm all for him coming on. I'm not convinced it should have been for Bruno. God bless him. Bruno for Zirkz-knee could have taken that. Even Bruno for Sancho, had he been about, I could have taken that. But Bruno for McTominay, where are you going to get your creativity from? And we've said this time and time again, who is that person? And we haven't seen it from Zirkz-knee as yet. So, interesting thing. Right, let's get on to the equaliser, because we all know that Ahmad had lost his stepmother recently. That was some pretty sad news. I was quite surprised, Andrew, to see him start. But then part of me started thinking, has he decided he wants to do this, in honour almost of his stepmother, to do it for her? We don't know what family situations are like. Maybe she was quite influential in him doing what he chose to do. And he scored. It was a massive deflection, but again, the build-up for it and the way that we worked it through, excellent, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say he's become the first choice option, for us on the right-hand side, and he did all right against Brighton. You could say he should have got the other one in the first half on target, but, and then Brighton went on to score, but in the second half, he cut inside brilliantly on, his strong foot, rifled it into the net, even though it came off the Brighton player. You look back at the replay and that was on target. So, and we were in the ascendancy, after that, Ahmad, he did all right for United, he's providing the key attacking threat. And I could understand when, Rashford went off and then Garnacho got after all two attacking wingers that, drive the ball forward and get at the opposition as well. So, yeah, sad news that he's lost his mum now. Just whether maybe he just want to do a prayer and have the football to to take his mind off things. Go out there and you can see that when he scored the goal, you're looking up to the skies as well. So, and that was in tribute to her as well. So he's come into his own. He's at Ahmad, and be interesting going forward. What Ten Hag decides to do, whether it's going to be Garnacho and Ahmad on the right, or does he keep Rashford in still? So it's a headache for Ten Hag, but it's a good headache. So we've got players that can, are wanting to be in the side as well. So, but yeah. So Ahmad's been impressive so far, in the first 2 games.
Absolutely. I think Mads is right here. He was quiet. He wasn't his usual self, but that could well be that he was marked a bit tighter than he would have liked to have been, but he certainly wasn't making the mazy runs that he usually would, but did get the cut in and did then get the ball in, which was quite good as well. JJ saying Rashford's offside far too much, need to get it sorted, he can have a better season. I can't completely disagree, because he was offside a lot last season, but we were offside 6 times in this game, and Brighton were never offside, didn't catch them off once. And it wasn't just him. Ahmad a couple of times was offside as well. There's also a bit of, have we got to release the ball a bit earlier? A few times I've seen us with the ball and you're like, pass it then, and they just hold on to it for a kick too much. And by that point, the run's been made and they're just trying to get back on. And I think the decision of when we make the pass is equally important. For £1 for every time the commentator mentioned Brighton manager's age or James Milner's age, I could afford to buy a Ugarte. Well, there you go. We won't mention it here, but he is very young. Not Milner, obviously. Beanie, what did you make of Ahmad's performance on the goal? Because, again, just the front line in general, I thought they were quite good in terms of getting into the spaces again, but that final third, we haven't got that killer instinct. Zirkz was in the right place, right time last week, but we just struggled to get that today.
Yeah, I don't have a huge amount wrong about the performance. To be fair, I think we were putting some good moves together for the goal, for the offside goal. I thought we did another good move for that. The offside was a bit of an issue, but I think as much as us putting the ball through quicker, I think Brighton hold a very good line. So I think we do need to be a little bit more. We maybe need to be a little bit cuter with that. But I thought Rashford did okay. I thought Ahmad was good. I thought Zirkz was decent when he came on. He looks like he's got a good engine on him, Zirkz. He likes to sort of get himself about and that. But we just feel like we're missing that clinical edge at the minute. If that Garnacho goal goes in, we win that game for me. It's literally fine margins. Like the Fulham game, we should have probably won that 3 or 4. But I think we're just missing that edge at the minute. Bruno looks a little bit off it still to me, whether that's from the Euros, whether he's just not quite got up to scratch just yet. But yeah, I thought we played okay. We're just missing that killer touch for me.
Is that part of the problem today, Dan? That because of the way in which we're trying to play the game, there's certain people that he wants to put in there. I mean, is it a worry that Zirkz is not actually going to be the number 9 that we thought he was going to be? Because that's twice now he's been brought on, and twice that he's not really been the figurehead, so to speak, for trying to get the ball to.
No, not for me. He seems to play more on the left and a bit deeper than a number 9 anyway. So maybe it's just an idea, but Zirkz might play on the left once Højlund's back in, with Højlund as the 9. For me, today is confirmed that Garnacho should start on the right, not over Ahmad, but with Ahmad. I think Garnacho from the right is better than he is on the left. So I know he came on as a left midfield today, but I would stick to bringing him on the right-hand side. He just performs better when he's in right mid or right wing. He doesn't perform as well from the left. He doesn't affect the game as much. He doesn't seem to have the better defensive shape from that side. I just seems that it should be Ahmad and Garnacho for that right-hand side position. So maybe Zirkz will come onto the left once Højlund's back. I thought, honestly, the subs is a weird one for me because they were strange, and I understand what people are saying about McTominay for Fernandes is just not the one, and it's definitely not the one. I agree 100%. What did McTominay do wrong when he came on? Because I must have missed it. Because he played the amount of times he stripped past people and got us on our way.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, he was honestly, some of the touches he was taking and the passes forward, he was getting us away, and then we was messing it up as we got further up the pitch. So it's small margins.
Creativity, isn't it? Once gone, once Mount's gone, you're hoping that Garnacho and Ahmad are gonna bring the game. But yeah, I think that's all. There's nothing wrong with what Scott actually did. His performance, I thought, was perfect.
Well, there was a couple of times that he set us away where I thought if we could have picked a better ball, we would have been in. And so you can't argue that it wasn't a successful sub, because he did quite well in what he was asked to do. I mean, it made very little sense in the terms of Fernandes is literally Mr. Creator, so I don't know why you would take him off. But again, there's not too many issues with the performance from me. I'm normally quite pessimistic, but for what I've seen so far in the 3 games, we've controlled the games, we've looked better, we've created chances. I think the biggest stat for me today is they created 2 big chances and scored 2 goals. We created 2 big chances and didn't score both our goals. Yeah. We just, that's how fine it was. And then obviously we're going to go into the Zirkz-knee.
Let's do it now. Let's do it now.
It's the difference between winning and not winning.
Because it's really difficult because 2 years ago, I didn't bother with Twitter, really. I wasn't fussed. And I only came back onto Twitter in the initial case because I wanted to get the team sheet for Man United women when they were playing Leicester. I wanted to know who was playing so I could get, have a clue who these people were on the pitch. And I've been dragged almost kicking and screaming back onto social media. And today just reminded me of all the reasons why I just got rid of it in the first place, because it ain't good for this. And some of the stuff that I've read today has blown my mind. Can we just be clear? In my opinion on this one, it's offside. Doesn't matter how much we like it, how much anyone wants to moan about it, how unfair it feels, it's the definition of offside, because he plays the ball forward and it is touched before it goes across the line. Now, on this occasion, it was unlucky. Of course it was, because Zirkz was actually sliding to try and get the ball that was being whipped in the first place. He doesn't get that. Garnacho does. But unfortunately, for anyone who knows anything about science, you're moving forward, friction's going to help you stop, but it's not going to make you stop. The only thing that would have made him stop would have been if he was going for the post. So he had no option. All he could do was move. Now, maybe he could have done his very best matrix and sort of tried to lie down straight or done something like that, but this was genuinely the most he could have done. Now, I know that you joked, Dan, you put in the in the group chat, oh, Garnacho should have hit that higher, so that he didn't hit the knee of Zirkz-knee. But it honestly is incredibly frustrating. And today I read, and you know what? We never ever name the people, but I read Mark Goldbridge's tweet today. Now, he's not on my Twitter, neither is Fabrizio Romano, but the number of people that keep retweeting these people and reposting them and quote tweeting them, so they end up back on, and people go, how is it he's got this platform? This is why, because you are constantly giving it air by going, oh, isn't this a terrible thing? And he's actually said today that that's almost against the spirit of the game. It's clearly not going to stop the ball from going into the back of the net, so it shouldn't be offside. Now, just cast your mind back, I think against Brighton, when a very similar sort of thing happened. It wasn't Brighton, but we were about to go into the penalty shootout, and just before, we'd had the offside decision. Oh, that should have been the moment when Manchester United get knocked out of the FA Cup. It's against the spirit. He was offside by a toenail. Oh, they should change that. Offside is offside. It is the one rule that has never changed. It's always been the same. If there is a part of your body that is in front of that defender, you are offside, irrelevant as to which part it is. And people are going on about it, about changing the spirit of the game is really starting to piss me off. The spirit of the game is not what it's about. It's the rules of the game. And this is why handball should just be handball if it hits you in the hand, because nobody can argue with that. When you start talking about the spirit of the game, everything becomes subjective. Did he mean to do that? Could he have stopped it? And then all of a sudden people will go, well, no, I couldn't have stopped that. And everyone will just throw themselves at balls and go, oh, well, I couldn't have helped that. Look, I was moving. So you can't do that. But it was, Andrew, incredibly unlucky, because had that gone in, as Beanie says, it's probably a win for United.
Yeah, I was going to say, at 1-1, we had definitely had the momentum. Garnacho had come on in place of Rashford, was keeping up the attack, and we thought he'd scored, and it's almost like a cruel twist of fate, and, the goal was chalked off, and I initially celebrated, and my dad said, oh, it's offside, and I thought, oh, I can't be offside, and then he was like, and then we watched it. I was like, oh, his knees right. I was thinking, how that ball's over the line before he got to it, but it literally wasn't. And I was like, it's offside, and I thought, yeah, it's just unfortunate, I think Bruno playing the ball in, Zirkz-knee was trying to get on the end of that, and he just slid on the floor, and then as Garnacho here, he just couldn't stop his movement. It just, unfortunately, he was trying to get off. He just raised his knee at the wrong possible moment for it. So just was, as Garnacho was, going away to celebrate, you could see Zirkz-knee's face going, I know that's not a goal. And I'm like, he just didn't have the heart to go over and celebrate because he knew what he had done. But unfortunately, it's offside. He's offside. We can't, do anything much about that. What we're talking about, some decisions were not the best we've seen today. They were hardly costing United the game. It was the VR interventions and the offsides that were costing us. Yeah, Garnacho had scored. We'd be praising Ten Hag for bringing him on like he did last week as well. Football's a game of fine margins, and today it just went against us, unfortunately. There's lots we can take from this defeat, the defence and everything else, but it's one game. We're in week 2 of the Premier League, and the signs are still positive at the moment. United.
You didn't need to, but thank you. If you've ever seen like Stu Willie, he'll jump in and drop an F-bomb within 10 minutes. So it's not the end of the world. And to be honest, it is pissing me off. I can't. There's no other word for it. It's not ticking me off. It's not getting my goat. It's doing what it is. Beanie, you mentioned it already. What was your take? Because I like you, I think we would have gone and won it if that had counted.
Well, we were right on top, weren't we? At that point, we were playing some good stuff. It was a good move to get to where the goal happened. And like you say, Zirkz is doing exactly what you want your striker to do there. But Bruno's putting that ball in. You want your striker to be absolutely busting a gut to try and get that ball in the back of the net, and he's doing what you'd want him to do. Fair enough, he misses it, and then he does all he can to try and get out of the way. But it's just one of them. It's unlucky. But like you say, you hear people like Goldbridge and that on Twitter, and he's just a muppet and an absolute clown. I mean, if that was the other end, that'd be offside all day long, and he'd be screaming, "That's offside! That's the rules! That's this! That's that!" Yeah, he's just a clown. But it is fine margins, and I'm a great believer in that things like that will level themselves out in the season. We'll have a game where a little bit of luck will go our way. At the minute today, it just didn't go our way, and it was unfortunate.
It's just a shame that Zirkz-knee's leg didn't level out. If that happened, we 2-1 up. Dan, anything else you wanted to add on this subject?
No, it's just frustrating for me. Not frustrating, but I just wish he would have just slid on his arse into the back of the net after he missed it. Just carried on sliding, because then he wouldn't have been in the way. But I find it quite funny that people want the offside rule rewritten, because I saw one that said, well, he didn't affect the ball going in the net, it would have gone in the net anyway. Well, he did affect it going in the net because it hit him. So do you know what I mean? It just don't make sense to me. It's unfortunate. It's one of those things. It's just what could have been for me, that, to be honest, because if that is 2-1, I do think we see out the game, and it's just small margins, because it was a good performance.
It was. And what
I actually think we fell apart a little bit after that.
We did.
Yeah. So I was going to say, I actually thought we totally lost the game. I thought after that.
Like
Bruno come off and it just went pear-shaped.
But I was just going to say, Dan, that with that, I think that people were saying that it didn't affect it going across the line. But what if it did? Like, if you'd have done that and it stayed out of the goal, would we still be sitting there and saying, well, that should count because, he didn't mean to touch it? Like, this is it. You can't have that sort of subjectivity. We are going to have to go into that final goal now, because like you said, we did lose our heads a little bit and it didn't go as well as we wanted it to. And it was incredibly frustrating to see. We knew we could have gone on there and pushed ourselves forward a bit more, but actually we were the ones under the cosh. For that whole 7 minutes of injury time, I don't recall us being in their half. It was all Brighton just attacking, which I wasn't really expecting at that point. I was expecting us to at least create another one or two chances. Now, we've got to talk about the goal. It was a corner, and I know Dan's got his own thoughts about the corner, but it's a corner. Corner's given, in it comes, and it does get headed away. Now, Anthony comes in, does do a challenge. Now, I've seen people have a go at Anthony as well, saying, where is he? What should he be doing? He did the right thing. He's tried to make a challenge. He's got to the ball. It hasn't bounced the way we'd want it to. He turns around and looks and sees what most sensible human beings would see, which is a sea of red in the defence. And then he also sees the ball's bobbling around. So in his head, he's thinking counter-attack. Last few minutes of the game, got to try and get myself in a position where I can get forward and try and make something of that. Then he sees the turnover, so it ends up being a Brighton ball. So he looks back at it and goes, and you can see him start to take steps back. But again, there are 5 or 6 Manchester United players in that box that could have dealt with what was going on. The problem is that 4 of them are stood around this one player. Now, Martinez is out of the box. He comes back in, but by that point, he's never going to get back to the position he needs to be on. But out of those defenders, Andrew, how are people not seeing it's completely empty at the back post? How have we hit this point where Premier League footballers, who, like I say, get more money in a week than we will see in a year, how are they not noticing what we would go absolutely mental at 12-year-olds for? You don't leave your back post unmarked. You keep your eye on what's going on. Who's in there? What was going on?
As sort of said earlier, schoolboy defending. I'm going to use like one of Stu's probably it, and I just you do the basics right, and there was no basic defending doing it in that from the corner that Brighton got. Say United had lost all momentum. After the substitution we made, and Brighton, they just gave them a boost, and it gave them a win as well. Their chance came from the corner. We initially cleared the ball, and but Brighton, recollected it. But you could see Masrari and Dallo just stood next to it, I was thinking, well, Dallo, you've been playing on the left, so why are you not further over to the left? So we might have been able to stop that goal, but it just left, the back post was just left wide open. DeLitt was the only one in the area, and it gave 3 Brighton players the opportunity to score. If one of them wasn't going to get it, the other would. So you can see DeLitt. He stood with his arms out afterwards, wondering, well, where was my help? I've just been left hanging here, and just like you could see, like been watching it back as well, and you could just see Zirkz-knee just walking in the box after I was like, just do something. You should have just done something. Just trying to get in front of one of the players. It was like, you got to be on your guard all the time, because the ball can be struck from anywhere into the goal. I'm just like, it just reminds me of last season. Hopefully we don't have a repeat of what I described last season as hell at the times. It's just like the defending. It was just like silly little mistakes. If we can cut this out, I mean, the defending we've done in the first 2 games is a lot better compared to last season. We've just been prone to 1 or 2 lapses, and it's costing us dear. And I'm just like, we've got to be on it for the whole 90 plus minutes. We can't, in the Premier League now, you can't be, giving away cheap goals, because you're going to get punished in the end. And like so, I was hoping we was coming away with the 3 points, and it's it's Brighton's. I've got to give fair play to them. They did it, and they took their chances. We were a bit wasteful in what we did.
Yeah, I think it's hard again to disagree with too much of that there. But Beanie, this is it, isn't it? Like, is this not Anana's job to be organising his box as to where he wants people to be? Somebody has to be responsible for shouting out the fact that there are 2 players completely unmarked. That can't be going completely unchecked, because if it is, then we need a root and branch investigation into how it is that professional footballers are allowing that to happen in the 18-yard box.
Yeah, it's crazy. Onana doesn't strike me as the most vocal of keepers anyway. But like you say, if he's not organising his box, then something needs to be said there. To see the goal back and to see Dallo stood next to Mazraoui over on the right, it's like, what are you doing there? You're meant to be covering the back post. Like, someone's meant to be there. But I think both goals were very similar. It just reeked of panic to me. When Brighton had the ball in that area, just everyone was going to the ball. It was like just sheer panic. And I think that's what we saw quite a few times last season. We just very sort of schoolboy, just errors that are leading to goals. As Andrew says, you can't do it in the Premier League, can you? You can't give these teams just easy opportunities, because it will always end up in the goal. I just think we need to have a little bit more about ourselves. We need to lose this panicking, because I think we did it with both goals. As I say, I think Dallo and Martinez were very poor in the first goal. I have no idea what Dallo was doing with that second goal, where he was. But yeah, have 2 or 3, I think it was, Brighton players at the back post. They could have took a couple of touches themselves, and no one would have been anywhere near them, and would have still stuck it in. But yeah, it reeks of panic, but they've got to sort it out. But for me, if you have Maguire on that pitch, does that not happen? I don't know. I think we miss vocal players. I think we miss sort of leaders on that pitch. I'm not even sure Fernandez is that. I think we miss someone just to like pull the troops together and be like, come on, you this is your area, this is what you do. Do you know what I mean? Just a bit of sort of leadership on there. And I don't know if taking Maguire off, you take that off as well. I'm not too sure. But I'd have much preferred for him to be in that box at that point.
I think you're right. But Dan, when you also look at the goals we conceded last season, there were so many of them were cutbacks. And so often we were talking as well about, and even for the first goal, we're talking about defenders going to the ball. Am I being a little bit harsh? Because on this occasion, 4 players went to the ball. There's a little bit of that. Maybe it's only one of them needs to go. And again, it needs that organisation of you go, I'll stay. It's just that loud voice. We know that Stu plays in defence. I can just imagine what it's like playing football with Stu, but I would imagine it goes something along the lines of, Barry, out there, number 7. No, not there, you muppet, over there. Because he's quite angry when he plays football, I would imagine, Mr. Stu. So is it not a little bit of that? It's a little bit of, you need that somebody who's going to step up and say where you need to be. Because I have 4 of them on one ball. Is it that, or is it just being too eager to try and stop it? Is it panicking? What's the crack?
It was just an absolute from start to finish. That second goal was a shambles. Like there's no other word for it, to be honest. I put in the group chat that Maguire at one point from a corner was marking 3 players, and he got beat to the ball, and I could see people online straight away saying Maguire beat to the. He's marking 3 players, so that's not a player issue. That's a tactics issue straight away. You've done something wrong if your centre back is then having to mark 3 players, because he's the only one that's gone, oh, balls, there's something going off it, and he's the only one that spotted it. And the same, so I get why people are blaming Dalot and Martinez being on the wrong side, and I don't get why they're like myself, but they will have zones to mark from the way we've set up, and Casemiro was the back zone, and then once the ball starts to go out and everybody starts to chase it, he vacates. So it's on Casemiro as well. But it's also on Ten Hag. Kobe Mainoo at that point could not run. Could not chase down. He could not run in the box. He was jogging. He was like he was in syrup because he was knackered. So
sorry, I've got to, if we're marking zonally, then who was marking the zone that was left completely empty?
Casemiro was there, and then when the ball goes,
why people haven't got Casemiro?
Yeah, but this is what I mean.
You can't leave your zone unattended.
It's a complete breakdown. So it goes from being, in my opinion, a player issue to a tactics issue. So you've got to know if you're a left back and you're a left centre back, and you see Casemiro starting to jog out, you then shouldn't be chasing the ball. You should be getting back into your position because you know that's now been vacated. And that's a tactics issue. That means the players aren't informed well enough to know he's moved, so I've got to go. Martinez was chasing that ball out of the box like a little Rottweiler because Mainoo couldn't run anymore. So while it is on Martinez because he shouldn't be chasing out, why was Mainoo still on when he was running on syrup? He was knackered. So get him off, put Collier on, who would be able to chase. Then Martinez don't have to chase. Same as Dalot. You've got Mazwari and Dalot doing the same block from the cross, but then no one on the back post defending the cross. Someone said to me, McTominay's in the wrong place. No, he's not. He's still in the same zone that he was supposed to be in from the original cross. So he'd stayed. It was Casemiro that ran out. But this is what I'm saying, and this is the frustrating thing about Maguire. So it's okay to blame Maguire. Online, it's okay to blame Maguire for the first goal, and it's solely his fault. But then I've not seen a single mention of the mistakes for the second goal from the same people. And I've literally just caught out the corner of my eye, Maguire has still somehow caught the flack for the second goal when he wasn't on the pitch. It's Maguire's fault we've lost the game. That's what Goldbridge has just said. Bearing in mind, I've blocked Goldbridge, so I ain't got a fucking clue how that's coming up on my timeline anymore. But how is he blaming somebody that wasn't on the pitch for a second goal going in when there was 5 or 6 players that have made mistakes in that moment? And then I read a stat somewhere that's 6 goals in injury time that Man U have conceded under Ten Hag, which is the most in the 30 years before that. Like, it's equal to the amount we conceded in 30 years, which is mental, which suggests to me that it's a tactics issue. Like, the players aren't aware of what they're doing properly at corners. But this is what I was saying earlier about it is not one player's fault when something looks that bad. It is 4 or 5 and coaching. It's not just, Martinez shouldn't have chased the ball. It's about 15 different things. Why did Casemiro run out when we were still under pressure? Why didn't he stay? Like Anthony, I agree. He did everything right. Probably should have been a bit stronger in the tackle. Like going a bit more forceful, make sure it don't come back in. So there's lots of
box. If he gets that wrong, it's a penalty, and then he's the one.
Exactly, and then he's the scapegoat.
But this is it. I do think the fans have got to take their share of this, because if we were being the supportive fan base as a whole that we should be, you take a lot of the pressure off of the players. You look at some of those players now, your Sanchos, your Rashfords, your Antonys, your Maguires. These are players that are not just having to try and win over Erik Ten Hag. They know that everything they do is incredibly magnified. And worse than that, it's not just magnified as in, like in my, we haven't had one of these for a while. In my day, we would have been shouting out, ref, we'll see you out of the car park. We know where your car's parked. and it'd all be a giggle. It would be a bit of a joke because we'd be a bit annoyed at the ref, but nobody ever hung around by the ref's car that I'm aware of. I certainly didn't. But you're angry and shout at them. The difference now is that people will sit there and they won't just stop with Harry Maguire. They'll start having a go at his wife. They might have a go at his children, his family. And that must be in their head that the performances they're having now, it's not just going to be them that gets the flack. It's going to be the people that they love, the people that they like, that are going to get that flack. So if you're Anthony, who, by the way, hasn't been the level of an £80 million person that we should have been expecting. He hasn't done that. We can't disagree with that. It doesn't mean they're beyond criticism or reproach. But the fear that you must have in little moments like that, if I get this wrong, that's a penalty. I mean, don't get me wrong. I also don't think that time has slowed down and he's sat there in his head going, like that meme of the geezer that's looking up while all the equations are happening around his head. Like, I don't think that's happening. It's like, oh, if this happens, this could be really, really bad. I best just go for a light one. But equally, they're going to be cautious because they know it could go wrong. And I don't know, I could be wrong, but there's got to be a reason why the same names are coming up, because they know that every little thing. And you go back to last week, Rashford passing to Garnacho. Why would you want to take that shot? It's so much. You have the golden boy. You have the.
The thing for me, the frustrating thing for me is you've got certain outlets blaming Maguire. So if it's all Maguire's fault and all the problems come from Maguire and we can't play a high line because of Maguire, which is all nonsense, the facts show that that isn't true, then how has that second goal happened? Because he's not on the pitch anymore. You've now got a back four that Ten Hag wants, and it's still all over the place. And no matter whether Maguire was playing last season or wasn't playing last season, the defence was all over the place. When Martinez came back in, it was all over the place. The midfield, there was massive gaps in it last season, no matter what players were put in. It was all over the place. It is not just one player, and it will never just be one player. It is a full team, full defence, goalkeeper, everything. And honestly, the one thing that I took away from the second goal was it shouldn't have been a fucking corner in the first place. It was a free kick. It was a blatantly obvious free kick to Man United because Mazwari is clearly fouled, like tripped over and kicked as the ball rolls out. And he's down, and even the commentators went, well, that's clearly a foul. And they just took the corner anyway. Brilliant. Fantastic. I know that it's like there's a few more phases of play, but that's where the frustration should have been. It was never a bloody free kick, corner in the first place. It should have been Onana smashing the ball up the pitch, and then maybe we could last the other 7 minutes.
Maybe, but we shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. And you've got to be able to deal with the punches because referees are going to make decisions, whether they be right or wrong. But yeah, I think my whole takeaway from the whole thing is that we've just got to support the team and just be a bit more with it, a bit more supportive. Like it could be worse. I mean, Benny's been in touch. Apparently, he's been trying to comment, but it's not been letting him. I mean, I promise I haven't blocked you yet. But it says what he said was finally back from the Amex because obviously he's been down to Brighton. That's why we didn't get him on this evening. And he's put win, lose or draw. It's for the love. The love's in capital letters and not the glory, also in capital letters. And it was a top away end. So for the person asking, what are the away fans saying? I guess they're doing what they always do. And I think you will find, and I know that Andrew will agree with me on this one, that the people that get the away tickets to go away from Old Trafford generally do tend to be fully supportive of the players, perhaps to a fault. So, all good. Right, what was this? Dan, there were people calling for Onana to be sold after today and he barely even saw the ball. I know it's tiring, but the mob will go on for anyone they can take their anger out on. And you know, this is part of the problem. And I will finish today's show on this one. The world is full of fan channels and the world is full of fans. And opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one. And it's perfectly reasonable and it's perfectly acceptable to have. But, and this is the big but for me, if you're just doing it for the purposes of getting a few people to click because if you say the right things, people will get involved, there'll be engagement, you'll be shown, some people will follow you to build your profile. To me, it negates what it is that you're trying to do. And that is why here on All for United, it's never going to be clickbait. It will all be genuine. Like Beanie and I went off in the group chat. It really
was
did.
amazing.
Like I was not having any of it. And I then did the exact same argument with Connor over on the other one. And I think I must have got misconstrued somewhere, because within it I did say Maguire couldn't get to the ball. And I think that was taken by both of them as me going, he didn't do anything wrong. He did. We knew that. But the point was, I'd seen so much rubbish online that by that point, anything was said could be taken properly. And it was feisty. I had a couple of people going, oh, we like feisty Barry. But that's the whole point. So you're not going to get that on this channel. If you're coming in here looking for clickbait and argumentative stuff, you will get debate. Of course you will, because that's what we want. But it's going to be genuinely held, properly articulated thoughts and opinions. Because what is the bloody point of just trying to get people to watch just for the sake of it? I've got no time for it. So there we go. And that's why even Twilumba is a good boy now. Look at that. He's come in with absolutely nothing that I can have a go at him today. So well done, Twilumba. Gold star for you. Beanie, if people wanted to get you on Twitter, where could they find you?
MUFC Beanie 7.
And where could they find you if they wanted you on TikTok?
Oh shit, that was TikTok. See, you got me there. Twitter is Andy Bean 84, I think.
There you go.
Sounds right.
Yeah. I thought I got it right then as well.
I'm so proud of myself, because I knew the minute I said Twitter, absolutely blow your mind, man. So chuffed. Amazing. Andrew, have you done any writing for Paddock on this one?
I'm doing the review of the game today, so that should be up tomorrow. So get my therapy out in the review and just digest it all again. So yeah, it should be up tomorrow.
Yeah, we all need a bit of it. And that's about it. So from Dan and myself, we don't bother following us. It's not worth it. We don't say enough. And to be honest, Dan's lucky he's not blacked as well. So he comes out with the right stuff. He's in. Look at that. He's learned how to column. Well done. Well done, mate. I just quoted what you said to me. Don't forget our Academy show on Wednesday. He's really looking forward to it. I haven't forgotten it. The under-18s beat City 2-0 today. So, yes, Wednesday is going to be our next show. Obviously, we'll be pre-recording the Liverpool one. I fixed it. What did you do? Why did you block him? I told you not to do that. You're so out of order, Connor. What I was saying now. We're doing a youth team show on Wednesday. So that's the whole point. Benny travels the world, or at least the UK, watching the youth teams play. So we're going to get him in. He can talk to us a little bit about who we can look forward to seeing and who we should be keeping an eye on, especially this season. And we'll just get a little bit of a chit chat in with him about that. So do come and see us for that show. I think that was it. Yeah, so that's what we're going to leave. I've got the preview that we'll be hoping for as well for United against Liverpool. So look forward to that, won't we? Yeah. Beautiful. Right, it's been a pleasure. Have got anything else starred that we needed? No, that's it. Lovely. Brilliant. Well, that's a good job. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you again if you are in the chat. It's been a good one. I think we've got a lot out today. It's been a good therapy session. But as we said, we win as one, we lose as one. We are, of course, Manchester United, and we'll be back again to beat the Scousers, because that's what we do. See you there.